Good morning, good afternoon. I hope you're doing great. This is relatively advanced topic for interpreters out there in the field, fighting and translating and interpreting in conferences, behind the scenes, behind the shielded glass, and behind the microphones and behind the headsets. Nobody sees them probably. First thing, a lot of interpreters study interpretation field, but they do not manifest their skills in the classrooms. Their skills are sharpened in the field when they're interpreting in conferences. So these are tips that I have for you in my basket to present to you. First tip, and just to cut to the chase, practice predictive listening. When I say predictive listening, assume that you're the speaker and try to anticipate what the speaker is going to say, because that is very essential to understand the meaning and delivery. Because the interpreter does three things: listening, processing, and speaking. So it's a lot of cognitive load on your brain, especially if you are under heavy load of that kind of, give and take discussions. 2, control your ear voice span. The shorter ear voice span, the more accurate. The longer, the riskier. Why? Because you're going to lose the train of thought, especially if you're trying to cope up with the speaker. So that's very important. One key tip is familiarize yourself with the topic that they're going to talk about, because it's very important. 3, prioritize meaning, not words. If you're stuck with the level of words, you're going to fail to deliver the meaning to the audience, the target audience, whether that's English audience or Arab speakers. Simple as that. Develop fast note taking. You should not write word by word from the speaker. You have to develop a kind of shorthand kind of terms that you develop or you learn by practice. 5, maintain neutrality. Neutrality is essential. You have to practice zero emotion because that's bias. You should not be biased to the speaker unless the speaker tells you beforehand. You have to be very forceful or straightforward or blunt with the delegation, for example, but that's a different story. Use controlled breathing for voice stability. There's sometimes this kind of hearing fatigue by the audience, especially if your voice is loud, like my voice, to stabilize your breathing so that you give the audience a little bit of rest and they do not feel the kind of fatigue that comes from listening to you constantly. Build terminology. In any kind of interpretation that you're making, you have to develop a reservoir of terminology within that field. Familiarize yourself with, because the next time you go to the translation, you have to be familiar with that and to be presented, to the audience. Manage cognitive load. It's very important. Remember, good interpreters avoid distractions. They keep focused on the speakers. They do not miss any key term, but they focus on the level of meaning more than the level of words. So they do not translate word by word unless there is a context for that. Train your voice like a presenter. Slow down, keep some distance and time between you and the speaker, so you gain this kind of cognitive awareness of the speaker. And then building on that, you have to present, but you have to present like a presenter. So you're just the replica of the presenter to the audience. Never stop learning from the context. Professional UN interpreters and translators always practice shadowing every day to simply cope up with the advances of technology and the use of AI. They incorporate all kind of techniques to deliver meaning to the audience. So these are, in a nutshell, tips for interpreters at the level of UN and beyond that. Have a wonderful day.